Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today in gaming, Valve might be adding Raytracing to Source 2, Nvidia says when their GPUs are going to be available, an iconic Halo website is shutting down, and much more. It looks like Valve are adding Raytracing support to their Source 2 game engine. An update for Artifact, their digital card game, is hinting at RTX support. Buried in the update were two strings of code that reference RTX and Raytracing shaders. Valve's game updates notoriously contain many references to existing and future projects because many of their titles, like CSGO, Dota 2, and Half-Life Alyx, all share certain features or assets. When one of these games gets updated, the new code can often hint at the progress being made for others. These sorts of leaks are how we found out about CSGO's UI update, Half-Life Alyx being in development, Left 4 Dead 3, and other projects that Valve were keeping under wraps. So they're generally considered pretty credible sources for what Valve have in development. That said, they are just that, sources for what Valve may have in development. Just because they're working on RTX features for Source 2 doesn't mean that it will roll out for all of their games. While it seems likely that RTX support is being added to the Source 2 engine, I wouldn't expect to see it suddenly added to every game under Valve's umbrella. What does seem likely, however, is that Valve is working on next-generation technology and games. As cutting-edge as Alyx was for VR, it's more of a proving ground for how VR games should be. If that experience was translated to traditional 2D gameplay, it wouldn't be very impressive. That said, Alyx looks incredible in VR. An RTX update for Alyx would make it one of the most advanced VR games yet. Valve is probably implementing RTX support for future games to push the envelope further, but not just for the visuals. As games like Minecraft RTX have demonstrated, developers can build gameplay around the physics of ray tracing. Minecraft RTX lets you build a functional camera using light blocks and a dark room. Valve could expand on that concept to create an entire game based around interacting with light. They generally design most of their games to break new ground on cutting-edge gameplay innovations. One that showcases the power of RTX as more than just pretty lighting certainly sounds like something Valve might do. The good news is we might not have to wait until the end of time for it. We know Valve are working on multiple unannounced games right now. With any luck, they'll reveal something this year. Nvidia finally admitted what we already know. Their RTX 30 series GPUs will remain in short supply until at least April. That comes officially from the company's CFO during a recent conference. Team Green kickstarted a wave of scarce hardware launches last year with their new GPUs, and since then, AMD, Intel, Sony, and Microsoft have all fell victim to the dreaded out-of-stock notice. Getting your hands on the next generation of hardware has been next to impossible unless you're willing to spend an absurd markup on eBay and other second-hand shopping services. What makes the service doubly frustrating is that the hardware is good enough to make paying hundreds of dollars above MSRP seem reasonable. Despite supply being limited until spring, retailers are slowly starting to roll out new ordering systems that remove some of the frustration of shopping for these products. Newegg will be rolling out a new ordering system soon that sounds like it'll be a first-come, first-served reservation process. EVGA have been offering reserve notifications for their GPUs for a couple of months now. More retailers will probably follow suit this year. The ultimate goal is to make it so bots can't instantly scoop up available stock the moment it becomes available. The more retailers that offer reserve ordering and do their due diligence to weed out bots and scalpers, the better. It's the end of an era for Halo fans. Bungie's official Halo website, which served as a hub for tracking player stats, sharing in-game files, and more, is going offline next month. This website replaced the original site Bungie used for Halo content about 9 years ago. Since then, Halo.bungie.net has been a key part of Halo's legacy. When the franchise was handed over to 343 for Halo 4, 5, and now Infinite, the official website stopped getting updates. Bungie says players can download their stats and files from the website before it shuts down for good. While it's hard to gauge how much interest there is in preserving this data, I'm sure many players out there will be sad to see the website go dark. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor also bid farewell to some of its online features. The game's Nemesis Forge system and Vendetta missions are now unavailable. All other content still works as intended. Shadow of Mordor launched to critical acclaim in 2014. While most of that praise was for its story and gameplay, a lot of it focused on the game's nemesis system. Instead of having random NPC enemies, most enemies in Shadow of Mordor were their own unique characters with randomly generated names, backstories, personalities, and abilities. Killing these characters could lead to other characters taking their place. Dying to them would result in them getting promoted and becoming even more powerful. It was a fascinating mechanic that was expanded onto great effect for the game's sequel, Shadow of War. The Vendetta missions essentially allowed everyone to fight NPCs that had killed players on your friend's list. The Nemesis Forge was a sandbox that let you fight the biggest and baddest enemies you had encountered while playing through the story. And while these servers going offline for a 7-year-old game sounds like it shouldn't be that big a deal, well, the game has left such a lasting impression that it will still probably affect a decent amount of players. Intel's incoming CEO, Pat Gelsinger, is demanding the company surpass Apple's CPU development. He won't replace the outgoing CEO, Bob Swan, until next month, but he's already been involved with meetings at the company. He basically waved a finger at Apple, saying they have to deliver better products to the PC ecosystem than any possible thing that a lifestyle company in Cupertino makes. While AMD is currently Intel's most direct competition, Apple's new ARM-based CPUs are making headlines for their power efficiency, performance, and how well they translate non-ARM software. ARM and other hardware like it is only going to play a more significant role in the future. Intel looking to compete directly with Apple sounds like it's both a matter of technology development and vendetta. Apple effectively dropped Intel to go with ARM, so Intel probably have something of an axe to grind with them. Whatever the case, it's unclear if Intel have what it takes to compete in the short term. They've fallen behind AMD for the first time in years, and ARM processors will take a long time to develop. The other company with a grudge against Apple, Epic, are taking their Fortnite legal battle to the UK. Apple banned Fortnite from the iOS App Store last year, and it's turned into an epic saga of pre-planned lawsuits, making marketing campaigns, dubious claims about both sides, and a hefty dose of eye-rolling from players. Epic are filing the same lawsuit they've currently filed against Apple and Google in the US with the UK's Competition Appeal Tribunal. They're hoping that this UK court will issue a judgment quickly, and it's likely the outcome could influence their US trial. Hitman 3 is coming to Nintendo Switch via cloud games streaming on January 20th. They announced the launch via social media today. It'll also be available on Google Stadia. The game launches properly for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox on the 20th as well. Before we get to today's final story, I just wanted to say happy Friday to everyone. We'll be posting our news roundup of all the top stories of this week tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to catch it when it goes live. In our final story today, Blizzard's Battle.net PC client just got a major facelift. It's now available as a beta update and reworks the classic launcher with more modern features like a proper library sorting system and more cleanly laid out menus. Ever since the launcher was opened up to partner titles like Black Ops 4 and Warzone, it's felt like it could use a fresh coat of paint. The idea of using Battle.net as a launcher for anything other than WoW and Diablo seemed like a bit of a joke a few years ago. The updated client makes it seem like Blizzard are opening up their store to other games in the near future. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.